What's up, YouTube? We are back with another video and I'm excited for this one. This is an 05 Acura Tl, 6-speed, no nav. This is probably the TL most people have, not about the 6-speed, but the fact that it's 05, the 04, 05, 06 are all the same model in terms of the radio. So this is a good video for everyone. I'm going to answer a lot of questions that I get on the regular, and also just give you a good how-to on to actually install the radio in this car. Our last video on the 07 TL was more kind of, you know, that you can do it. This is going to be a really thorough how-to, so that maybe if you are an installer and you're stuck on the install, this video will help you. Or maybe you're in another country and you can't order parts from us, so you need to do this on your own. Or maybe you bought parts off of Crutchfield and you didn't find us till now that you're watching this video, and you got to solve your issue with what you got. I hope this helps you. If you are planning to do this install, I recommend you check out our website, check out what we have to offer. We have DIY kits, we have full complete kits, we do custom harnesses for different radios. So if maybe, you know, we're doing a Pioneer in this car, but maybe you want to use a different radio for your car, we can help you out. We provide advice. We know this car pretty well in and out, so any questions you have, feel free to leave them down below, or feel free to contact us on our website. Just before we get started, I'm going to ask that you hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already, so you can get more of our videos. We're starting to upload more frequently, and would like to, you know, grow our subscriber count, grow our channel. And if you want to support us, feel free to go on our website and pick something up that's going to help you with your install. All right, guys, without further ado, let's get started. All right, guys, let's get started. Just a disclaimer, if you ever plan on putting the factory radio back in or your factory navigation, you're going to need your radio codes, so make sure you get those. We have a separate video on how you can get your radio codes. You can watch that. I'll put it in the description. Normally, they're on the units themselves. If not, they're in your glove box or your owner's manual, or if not, you have to use, I believe it's like 1, 3, and 6 when the radio turns on. I'm sorry, 1, 3, and 6 when the radio turns on, and that'll give you the serial number on the screen of the radio. But you want to get those codes if you ever plan on selling this car and you're going to take the radio out. And if you're going to sell the car with the radio, don't even worry about it. But it's just a disclaimer so that you know that if something goes wrong, your aftermarket radio fires up, you're going to put your factory radio back in, you're going to need those codes. All right, guys, now let's talk about what is going in this car, what we're going to need to take it apart, and we'll start this how-to. All right, guys, so let me show you what's going to be going in this radio. So first things first, the actual radio. We have a DMH-1500 NEX. The big features on this radio are Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and then Waze, and then also you get Spotify, Pandora, and SiriusXM. This is a Mechless unit, I believe they're called, so it means it doesn't have a CD player. It's just a touchscreen, and then we have our 3 RCA outputs, which we're going to need to install into this vehicle. Next, we have our actual dash kits. This is the dash kit that helps the aftermarket radio install in the factory location with ease, and this is the Metra 957815B. This is the double DIN unit. They do sell a single DIN unit. I believe it's a 16B, but you would have to check that out for yourself. Then we have our trusty steering wheel module, which is the Axis ASWC-1. I recommend this over the pack module just because this is like what we refer to as plug and play. You would plug it into our harness, and then you are going to hold the volume up button for about 5 seconds, and then it should just begin working. There's no programming. All the buttons should map themselves. With the pack unit, you are going to have to map and set it up all yourself. All right, guys, lastly, we have our wire harness that we provide. So this is a Pioneer wired harness that is already completely wired. You can see here we have our 5 RCA inputs. You know, your front, your driver, passenger fronts. Then you have your driver and passenger rears. Then you have your subwoofer, the Pioneer plug. You have your steering wheel control interface. Then your Access AW1 plug, so you can just hook it right up, and then your 2 plugs, 26 pin, and then your 20 pin for the radio. And I'll show you how that goes in the vehicle. You could see here that we left this green wire out, and the reason for that is because we're going to be installing a parking bypass. Now, what is a parking bypass? These radios, all radios really, have a feature in them that basically limits what you can do while the vehicle is in movement. So they don't want you watching video, they don't want you doing certain things while the vehicle is moving. The way that they set up the radio is so that your parking brake must be engaged. Your parking brake will send 12 volts when engaged to the radio, or maybe it'll ground out, whatever the feature is, and that'll tell the radio, hey, we're in park, we're not moving, let the user do whatever they want to do. But a lot of times you don't want to run this wire to your parking brake. It's just really annoying to do. Instead of running this wire to your parking brake so that you would have to have it actually engaged when you want to do stuff or do more stuff with your radio, you install a parking bypass. And the way the parking bypass goes is it has 3 wires. Get in the sun. Here we go. It has 3 wires. You have your green, your blue, and your black. And it's ground, remote, and then your parking brake. And basically what this is going to do is it's going to pulse, letting the radio see that parking brake engagement, but it's not really engaged. It's the bypass sending the signal, and that is what's going to allow you to access all those menus and all those other features in the car while you're moving, and you won't have any blocks. But alright guys, so that's what's going in this car. Now let me show you the tools that you're going to need to do this properly. So to complete this install, you're going to need your wire taps. If you're going to be wire tapping, if you didn't get one of our plug and play harnesses, then you're going to need trim removal tools. I highly recommend a magnetic pickup tool so that in case you drop any clips, etc., you can pick them up, and then a screwdriver to get all the screws out. And then you can wire tap or you can solder on. Either way, you're going to need either or. Alright guys, so let's get started with our disassembly. First things first, we're going to take our trim panel tool. We're going to lift here. And with your trim panel tool, you want to start to pry these up. Now, prying these up is a little bit nerve-wracking because it's your vehicle. You don't want to break anything, and this is a customer's vehicle. We don't want to break their anything in their vehicle and explain to them, hey, this panel broke. So you want to proceed with caution, use consistent force, but don't use aggressive force. And what I mean by that is we're going to start here in this corner. I'm going to sneak up behind the parking brake. Now behind the parking brake, there's a clip. That clip's going to rise up and that'll get you started. Then you can continue down the line. See, there goes some. Then the rest you can really do with your hands. If you're careful enough, you can just kind of pull on the clips where you feel them. So like here, it's really rough. So I'm gonna use my trim panel removal tool because I can't get my finger all the way in there to lift up, because you don't, basically how these break is when you apply pressure away from the actual tab, the tab stays in, but then the panel tends to break away. So you always want to apply your pressure right at the tab. So I know there's a tab here. I want to lift it out. There you go. And same here. Now here's always a tricky part because it's hard to get your trim panel tool underneath, but you want to try your best to get the tool under there. Come on. There we go. All right guys, so it looks like we haven't lost any clips. So something you want to be wary of is when you're pulling, these clips will come out if you're not careful, and that's why I say to bring the magnetic pickup tool, because if any of these clips fall, you can grab them where they fell. But all right guys, so we got our first trim panel piece on. Let's celebrate. That's a hard one to do. Now we're gonna grab our other trim panel piece, and this one, in the same way that you got started behind the parking brake. All right guys, so you're gonna get started in this corner, gonna lift up, it's gonna come up some, and we're gonna continue again with our hands like before until we can't any longer. All right, see, there's a lot of force. So there, I want to use my tool again, sneak my tool behind the radio and pry up. There we go. Now the last piece is always the trickiest piece, which is the top part, because you don't want to break anything. So we're gonna get behind it. There we go. And see there, we lost a clip. So bam, 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 they're all there except this one. And this one actually I heard it when it came off. It's still in there. So there we go, we got it back, and this is exactly why you want this tool, guys, because you don't want to be without one of these and not have a panel snap back into place correctly. All right, and that's gonna go right there. All right, guys, now that we got all that stuff out, we're gonna continue with our disassembly, and now we're gonna look at screws. So this screw, this screw, this screw, and this screw are gonna come out. Then this screw and this screw are gonna come out. Then these screws are gonna come out, but we'll go in steps. The first step is to get these screws that are underneath this. 2 screws down here. You want to take those 2 screws out. I hope you can see this. You have 2 screws there that you want to get started with, and then you want to undo this screw and then these 4 screws and allow you to scoot this back. So let me show you what that's gonna look like. Alright, once you got those started, you can actually twist them with your hands most of the way out, and then they're just going to come right out, just like that. So once those are out, we're going to focus on these. Alright guys, so you want to be careful where you put these screws. You don't want to lose any of them. So what I actually like to do is put them all in a central place, and that is always right here. So I like to put them up on the dash because I know they're not going to go anywhere. I'm not moving the car's not going anywhere. And then we're going to get this screw. So again, these 2 screws right here. The other ones you can leave alone. And then this screw right here. Alright guys, now that we got those screws out, our next step is to scoot this guy back. So you want to lift back here with your fingers, right where the carpet meets. You want to scoot your fingers in there. You'll be able to get them under there because the screws are out, and you want to just scoot back just like that. Now that you scooted that back, you now have the room that you need to unplug these, because this panel has to come out. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to unplug these connectors here. So you have this blue plug and this gray plug here. And the way these plug in is they have a little tab here. So you just want to push down on that tab and pull out. Now to get this panel off, it's going to have these side panels clipped onto it. So you can take these side panels off, but it's not necessary to do so. I'll show you a trick on how you can get around not taking those panels off. But to get started, to remove this piece, we need to first take off our shift knob. So if yours is a manual, you want to twist this so you can get it down. There you go. So there's a locking mechanism in here. You want to twist so you can get it off, and then this is just going to twist out. So you're just going to unscrew this. Alright guys, now that we've unscrewed that, we want to put this in a safe place as well. So we're putting that on the dash. And now you want to undo these screws right here. So this one and that one. So there goes one. And here goes the other. So after those are out, you want to undo these. So these are holding this trim panel piece on. Alright guys, so next we want to take these 2 screws out, the top ones, not the bottom ones. They're a brown screw. Alright, so we're going to take those out. And it actually looks like one of these panels has been removed before. Alright guys, so now I'm going to show you something that I want you to be real careful of. So the radio on the sides here, these panels have a little nub right here, and once you're doing this, you'll see what I'm talking about. This little nub, you don't want to break. It holds the panel into place. On that side, it's actually already broken, so I can tell this panel has been off before. The screw wasn't even as tight as it's supposed to be either. So what you want to do is scoot your seats back, both seats, as far as they'll go back. So in this case, we're as far as we can be, and now we want to pry here, and on the other side the same, and that'll free this panel. And I'll show you what that looks like in a sec. So here's that pry, and then you want to pry that guy up too, and you'll see we came up, when we pried, we came up and over that little bump that was there, and that's how you want to do it. You don't want to drag that bump out because you'll break it, and this should be enough to help us get this unit out. So next we're going to do is, now we're going to pry on this side as well, guys. See that clip came out, and then here's the clip up there, and now that should be enough to get this guy out. So what's holding it in now is it's clipped onto here, so we just want to undo those clips with a little bit of pull. There we go. And here comes the middle piece. When you're taking this out, your cigarette lighter will be in the way. So to unplug your cigarette lighter, you just press down the tab here on the side. So you're going to reach around, press that tab down, and you'll be able to pull it out. All right, guys, so we're almost there. The next part is the actual radio and the trim panel at the top. The way we're going to get this trim piece out is we're going to take our pry tool and we're going to pry at the top. I mean at the bottom side. So you're going to come in here. Always tricky. So see, there we go. Started prying at the bottom, and it's going to come up over the top. Then you should be able to just unplug that guy and flip this like so out of your way. All right, guys, so now we're almost there. We just got to take the 4 screws that hold the radio, and those 4 screws are located here, here, and then one here and one there. So gonna grab those 4 out, and then this thing's coming out. And here you want to be real careful, guys, because it's real easy to lose one of these screws. See, there goes one right there, just as I said it. So where's our, and this is where the metal pickup tool saves your butt. And there we go, we're able to get that guy back. And then we're going to do the other side. Here I'm just going to have my hand ready for this one. Okay. And then we're going to do the top ones. Alright, guys, so now we're ready to pull the radio out. What you're going to do is you're going to lift up and forward and let it drop down a little, and then slide it through the opening. Now, something I do want to show you are the plugs in the back. So plugs back here, multiple plugs back here, and this one and this one you don't need to unplug. You only need to unplug that one, and then there's one further in. My hand's kind of covering that one that you're gonna unplug next, and that'll allow you to move the radio out a little bit more than before. So now you see it drop down some, and now you have your connectors for your radio, and these have tabs at the top. Sometimes they're hard to get off, so there goes one. go for your other one. So, and the other. And last, you want your antenna. There we go. That was step one, is getting the radio out, dismantling. That took us about 20 minutes. As you can see, it's not the hardest thing to do. You just have to be careful, and you just have to have patience. Some things are a little hard to get off, other things aren't as hard. And now we're going to go and get ready for our install. Here we have our plugs that we need to interface with. So we have our factory antenna, our audio connections, and we will comment back and talk about these. All right guys, so now we're going to use our dash kit to install our aftermarket radio. And what we're gonna have to do first is we're gonna have to conserve this display. So in order to do that, we're gonna have to remove these screws here. Dash kit. Now we want to... Something I forgot to mention, when doing the faceplate for the radio, see it's upside down right now, you're going to want to take these guys off and transfer them. So with a little, either a trim tool, or if not, a little screwdriver, you just wrestle them off like that, and then you're going to put them on to the faceplate of the radio. These are what's going to hold the screw that mounts this into place later on. Otherwise, if you don't do this, the screw is going to continue to be spinning in place. So again, little pry tool, start it at the corner, and just make sure that you don't forget this step. Alright guys, so as you can see, we have our dash kit complete. Now it's time to open up our radio and install it. Alright guys, so now we're ready for our harness, and I wanted to take some time here to go over the plugs and what you need to do in order to get this installation complete. Now first things first, I want to talk about some of the things that you might have already bought. So let's say you're looking at this video because you already did the installation, now something's not working, you're at this step, plug your radio in, things aren't working, you're like, what the hell, I know I hooked everything up correctly, and you're getting no sound out of your speakers. So normally someone like Crutchfield, Sonic Electronics, or your big retailers are going to be selling you this plug or the blue variant of this plug, and here is all your standard connections. So you have your antenna turn on, your switch 12 volts, your 4 speaker wires, illumination, your illumination control, your constant 12 volts, and then your ground. And this actually does plug in to here without a problem. So there you go, you heard the click, you plugged in, you wired all your wires, you're like, all right, cool, I'm ready to go. No sound. Well, I have some good news and bad news for you. Good news is you can solve your problem. Bad news is you're gonna have to either wiretap, or if not, solder on some stuff. So, but I'm gonna show you because I brought a plug with me. So this is the plug that's in the car, as you can see, and this is where your amp turn on is. It's not, this blue wire is what you would think is your amp turn on, is really your power antenna, but your amp turn on is actually here. So your amp turn on is this wire right here, red with the yellow stripe, and you can see there it is as well, red with the yellow stripe. So what do you do? No sound. You're gonna need to wire tap that wire. You could use a traditional wire tap, or I'll show you a trick. Maybe you're an installer, you're having a hard time, you're like, why isn't this working? So I'm gonna show you a trick. What you're gonna do is, this isn't gonna hold, but this will get your issue solved for the meantime, while you can go about and get the correct solution. So this is gonna slide in like so, and then what you're gonna do is leave that, turn it, and then tape it. So you're gonna tape around it, and that's what's gonna hold it in place. This is a terrible solution. It will come out, you will have an issue, but it will get you through an install if you need to do something in the meantime, while you get the proper solution. So what you want to do is, you really want to wire tap that wire. Well, that's not really what you want to do, but what you should do if you don't have the next solution. But that's only your amp turn on. In this harness still, like I mentioned before, are your subwoofer outputs, or inputs, sorry. So your subwoofer is kind of, you're gonna need to run RCAs and put them in here, or wire tap them here for your subwoofer, your amp turn on. And then if you have navigation, these two wires right here, there's blue and this yellow. So there's blue, I'm sorry, there's blue and this pink in this harness. Again, this is the same plug. Right here, blue and pink, you're gonna need to wire a resistor across these two wires. So you're gonna cut, and put a resistor here of 68 ohms in order for this to work. So RCAs, amp turn on, resistor, and you'll have your subwoofer, amplifier, and navigation working again. And the reason why they don't work, it's because they're in this plug. Now, the other thing, if you got this plug from Crutchfield, this does not have your steering wheel control outputs. So what that means is, you're gonna have to tap your steering wheel controls. Have this brown wire is your steering wheel ground, and then this green wire with the red stripe, this wire right here, is your steering wheel positive, and both are missing here. So you're gonna have to wire tap those for you to be able to get your steering wheel controls. So what you're gonna want to do is wire tap those if you're gonna use your steering wheel controls. If you don't care about steering wheel controls, then this will work. So now that we reviewed what those plugs do, the other plug I want to talk to you about is the white plug. Your white plug is for your factory XM, and your for factory XM, it doesn't work with aftermarket radios, so you're not going to use it. So don't even worry about it, just tuck it behind. Now, if you have an 07 TL, these are the plugs that you will find here. So instead of this guy, you're going to have this, and this is a 40 pin, but again, red, yellow amp turn on, green and blue for your subwoofer, so same colors, and then your 68 ohm resistor is going to go across your pink and blue here. So it's the same colors again, but again, 40 pin, 26 pin, 07, 08 TL, 04, 05, 06 TL. Then your other thing on your 07, 08 TL is, you won't have your antenna like this. Your antenna is going to look like this. So just be aware of that as well. You're going to need an adapter for this, and we sell all of that. So now I'm going to show you what we offer and what we sell that will help you easily do this without any trouble. So here's our Pioneer complete wired harness, and basically what you're going to do is, your 26 pin is going to plug into here, and your 20 pin is going to plug into here, and now this is going to go to your radio. These are going to go to your radio. This is going to go to the access module. Before we do that, we're actually going to be wiring in a bypass, and I'm going to show you how that gets done. If you have an 0708 TL, we do sell a plug and play harness for this one as well. So as you can see, 0708 plugs right in, and then you're gonna plug your 20 pin in like you would, and then your antenna from your vehicle is gonna plug in to this guy. And that's how you'll get your 0708 to the same plugs and the same access control module. You guys, 2 years ago, so it's one of the jobs that was hiring. So now we're gonna go hook it into a radio, and I'll show you how that all works. Moment everyone wants to see, so we're gonna walk you through how this hooks up once again. So now we have our parking bypass in. Gonna open our steering wheel control module and grab our access module out of there. So this is what you get. Okay. Now if you have a Kenwood or a JVC, you're gonna use this. If you don't have a Kenwood or JVC, you're not gonna use it. Now here's the access module. And like we said, we are wired in for it already, so it's literally plug and play for you. You don't have to even think about it. But let's say you buy a DIY kit, it does not come with this plug DIY kit, only the wired ones do. So this is the plug that you're gonna use. And let me show you which wires you're gonna use on this. So for the ASWC-1, if you are doing this install on your own without any kit, you're going to plug this in, and the wires you are going to use, it's red, black, so you need to turn it on, and then this wire right here, which is the red, gray with the red stripe. All these up, and then of course your 3.5 millimeter. These are the 3 wires you're going to use. These you do not have to worry about. So this is going to switch 12 volts, ground, and this is going to the positive steering wheel control, which would be the green red on this radio. So that's how you would wire it in if you're going to do it yourself. Again, the DIY kit that we sell comes with the unterminated ends, so these 3 wires will be on the harness. You will have an extra ground, an extra 12 volts, and then your positive steering wheel control coming out of the plug that we sell, but you will not have this terminal like on our wired solution. The other thing, our DIY kit and our harnesses use the RCA outputs. Here you can see these uses the speaker outputs. You don't want to use the speaker outputs, you're going to double amplify your signal. You only want to use the RCAs. What will happen, what some people will sell you, is this and then a line out converter. You don't need that unless your radio doesn't have the 6 or 5 RCA outputs. You don't need a line out converter, you can just use the RCAs. All right guys, so moment of truth. Gonna plug in everything. So again, gonna plug in that nice plug and play, plug this in, and then we're going to plug in our steering wheel control module, which is going to go right here. And then now we're going to hook up our radio connections. This is where you want to be careful. If you're going to you cover this, because you will want to rest your radio here. It'll just be like a natural reaction to do so, so you want to make sure you cover that. So now we're going to go power. So our radio has power. Then we have our steering wheel controls, which are right here. And now we have our output. So remember, this was the front. So white to white, gray to red. Then we have green to white, red to purple, and then we have yellow to white or red. That's really up to you. All right guys, so now the next thing we want to do is plug in our antenna. Now most of the time the Pioneers have the antenna on the left, and it makes it tough to plug. So you want to come in here and undo. You want to get in here and undo it from, it's locked into with a zip tie. You just want to get that out so that you can use, the antenna will reach and it's not that hard to install. There we go. So you see that got it out, and now it will reach over to where it's got to go. Otherwise you're really going to be struggling to get it in because it won't want to reach. Okay. Alright guys, so now we're just going to test everything, make sure it all works. Okay. So you can see radio turned on, and now we're just going to test some of the audio functions. So if a radio ever asks you what mode, you're gonna go into standard mode for this vehicle and hit OK. Hit OK. We are almost done. As you can see, we got the radio back on. I showed you everything's in the plug, where it plugs into, how it's gonna plug into, and then when you move the radio back into place, you're gonna just shimmy it out like you shimmied it in, and then you're gonna seat it. It has little nubs that will help you guide it along, and then the rest are the screws. So as you can see, I have one of the screws right now. The other screw I don't have in yet. We're actually just testing, making sure everything works before we sit everything down. As you can see, here we ran our USB into here so that you can have Apple CarPlay right in the center console. And then we ran our mic. So our mic is actually right here, and it's going to be mounted here. Just the 3M tape that they gave us with the radio sucks, so we can't mount it right now. But I ran that wire I dropped in there, and then was able to get underneath and swing it over into this side of the car. So as you can see, we're almost set, ready to go. Just gonna test everything now. So our radio came on. Hit OK. We're gonna go into the radio, and you can see it's working now. See our channels are switching. See if I can get that all in frame. There you go, it's switching. Volumes work. Mode works. And then of course our volume up and down work. And again, these are for the factory unit, the factory HFL unit, so they will not work with your radio unless you open this up and wire that 150 ohm resistor across both. So alright guys, it looks like everything's working. I'm gonna get it all together, and then we'll come back and do a final overview. Alright guys, so we're going to reassemble everything. So we're gonna start. Okay, so we have 4 radio screws that we need to put back. So we'll start with, these are gonna be the trickiest. You're gonna put them in from underneath and then slide them in, and then once they're in, you're actually gonna screw them in from behind, from in the hole. So you could see I'm in the hole here, and that's where you want to screw it in from. So that one's in, that one's in, both in pretty good. Now we're going to do the other top one. Alright guys, so after you tightened all of those, alright guys, so make sure that this has all the tabs it's supposed to have up here, and that you didn't lose any. And then you can go ahead, plug this back in, and put this back into place. Now the way this goes back into place, it's just with a little push down force. You're going to push down and slam it in just like so. And now we'll move on to the next step. So we lost our main camera, so I'm filming with my phone. I'm going to now put in the middle piece. So something I want you to know is you don't want to put these in yet. We haven't screwed those in. We've only screwed that in, and that in, and then the top, and put this down. The reason why I say you don't want to screw those in yet is because you need the flexibility of them popping out like so that you can get the other panels in. So we're going to now put this panel in, and remember, when putting in this panel, you need to make sure that you connect the cigarette lighter back to the back, or otherwise you're going to lose your cigarette lighter. We got that panel back in. We're going to hook up these screws, and then we're going to put our shift knob back on and hook on our power seat connectors. So we'll actually, all right guys, so now that you have this trim panel back in place, you can go ahead and tighten these gold screws. For our next step, you want to now scoot this back up. After you scoot it up, you're going to tie these 4 screws back down, and then you're going to put your trim pieces back on. Alright guys, so here we are all set up. I want to give you guys a little demo of the radio and address some common questions that we always get. So like I mentioned before, we ran the USB underneath this, and we actually have it coming up. Nope, I'll get that out of the way. We actually have the USB coming up from underneath the console, so he can plug his iPhone in, and we'll get Apple CarPlay, and I'll show you that in a minute. Just want to show you the radio, it working, obviously. So we go, here's our FM, we'll go to a radio station that works, and then all our speakers work, and then our steering wheel controls work. You can see we have volume up and down, volume down. We can change through the stations, we can change through the settings. Everything works the way it's supposed to. Now, one of the common questions I want to address is with the ASWC-1, all you have to do after you plug it into our harness, or after you wire it in, all you have to do is just hold the volume up button. That will register the car with the ASW1 and get the right settings for your radio. You won't have to map any buttons, it will just start working. Alright guys, so let me show you what Apple CarPlay looks like. So once you plug in the iPhone and you head to the home screen, you're going to get Apple CarPlay to pop up there on the left. And no, I'm not going to go into a crazy in-depth demo, but as you can see, here we have all the apps, and then the big one that people like to use is Waze, and you can see it's working. It's a great feature, a great upgrade to do your TL.
Drive safely.
Alright guys, another common question we get is if you could run an aftermarket amp and subwoofer with this setup. So yeah, so when we hooked this radio up, you saw that yellow RCA plugged into the subwoofer output. So what you would do is you would tape that off, plug in your RCAs for your aftermarket amp in there, and then put your subwoofer wherever you want, and then your radio would control your aftermarket amp and your subwoofer. Another thing we talked about was that white plug is for the XM. The factory XM does not work with an aftermarket radio. You would have to buy an aftermarket XM receiver, or I think it's like a SV300 that plugs into the back of the radios. That will help you keep your XM subscription going if you wanted it. This video helped you out, guys. Please smash that like button and subscribe for more videos. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments or reach out to us on our website. Again, we do all kind of custom harnesses for your Acura. You can put in a Kenwood, a Pioneer, whatever you want. We will help you, and we will guide you through the install. And again, thanks for watching.